Hey, how's it going, everyone? Drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from, 'cause today we've got a story that's gonna hit you right in the feels. I want you to watch closely because you won't believe how this one unfolds. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. The sun was setting on the dusty village, but there was no warmth in the air. It should have been the happiest day of her life. But for Mira, standing at the altar, it felt like a nightmare unfolding in front of her eyes. Her hands trembled, her heart racing as the whispers around her grew louder, like a storm building up. The guests, once smiling and congratulatory, now turned their faces in judgment. They laughed behind their hands, snickered with cruel amusement, and exchanged glances full of contempt. Her heart sank with each passing second, the weight of their ridicule heavier than any words. Mira was poor. Her family was poor. And today, in this beautiful but unforgiving ceremony, the gap between her and the world she dreamed of was laid bare. Her fiancé, Ravi, stood next to her, but he looked like a stranger. His eyes, once filled with love, now carried something else. Disdain, perhaps? Or was it shame? Mira's chest tightened as she caught him avoiding her gaze, his fingers cold against hers. Her stomach churned with the bitter taste of betrayal. How could he, the one person she had trusted, turn away from her when she needed him the most? The other women in the crowd whispered about her dress, the cheap fabric that barely held up against the elegance of the rich guests. "She doesn't even belong here," one woman whispered, not caring whether Mira heard. "How did someone like her even get a chance at a wedding?" The words cut deep. Mira's lips parted, but no sound came out. She wanted to scream, to run away, to tell them all to stop, but the weight of the moment held her in place, as if the ground beneath her feet had turned to stone. Then, like a flash of lightning in the middle of a storm, the doors of the hall suddenly swung open. A tall man entered. His presence was magnetic. He was unlike anyone Mira had ever seen. His tailored suit, sharp and immaculate, made every eye in the room turn toward him. He moved with purpose, his gaze cutting through the room like a blade, as if the world itself bent to his will. Mira's heart skipped a beat as he approached. He was foreign, his accent thick with a richness she had never heard before. And yet, there was something in his eyes, a quiet intensity, a promise that could not be ignored. Without a word, he reached out and took Mira's trembling hand, lifting it gently into his own. "She's mine," he said, his voice strong, clear, and commanding, as if no one in the room could question it. The silence was deafening. For a moment, time itself seemed to freeze. Mira could hardly believe what she had just heard. Her mind raced, but her body stood frozen in shock. Mine? Who was this man? Why was he claiming her? And then, in an instant, the storm of whispers, mockery, and judgment erupted. But this time, it wasn't for Mira. It was for the man who dared to interrupt the ceremony, for the stranger who had dared to say those words. Her fiancé, Ravi, turned pale. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded, trying to step forward, but the foreign man didn't flinch. "I'm someone who knows value when he sees it," the man responded, his tone unwavering. "And Mira, she's worth more than all of you combined." The tension in the air was thick, almost unbearable, as all eyes were on this mysterious billionaire who had just stepped into their world. Mira's heart raced, but it wasn't just out of fear anymore. There was something else, a spark, a glimmer of hope. Could this be real? Could someone like him, someone so powerful, truly care about her? What did he see in her that no one else did? As the room waited for an explanation, Mira was left standing in the middle, caught between the life she had known and the unfamiliar. yet strangely compelling, future that was now in front of her. Mira, a village girl, had spent her life in simplicity. Born to a struggling family, her days were filled with hard work but also filled with love. She didn't have much, but she had hope, a hope that one day someone would see her for who she truly was, not just a poor village girl, but a kind, loving soul with dreams bigger than her circumstances. Her innocence wasn't in her lack of awareness of the world's cruelty. It was in her ability to believe in the goodness of others. While the world around her judged her for her lack of wealth and status, Mira continued to give without expecting anything in return. She always smiled through the struggles, her heart full of love, offering kindness to those who would never return it. She believed in a future where love, kindness, and integrity would eventually win. When Ravi entered her life, it seemed like a dream come true. He was everything Mira had ever hoped for. He was kind, educated, and from a wealthier family. To Mira, he represented an escape from the harshness of her world. His love made her feel valued. His promises made her believe that no matter her background, she could have the life she had always dreamed of. But on her wedding day, the cruelty of the world exposed itself. The mocking voices from the crowd, the judgmental whispers about her. Dress and appearance shattered her innocence. The man she thought would protect her, Ravi, stood beside her, but he was distant, his eyes filled with discomfort. The betrayal was deeper than anything Mira could have imagined. It wasn't just the judgment of the people, it was the betrayal of someone she trusted with all her heart. Yet, despite the pain, Mira didn't lash out. She stood quietly, her innocence prevailing. Her first instinct was to stay silent, to bear the shame without a word. Even in the face of mockery, she couldn't bring herself to be angry. She was too pure-hearted, too innocent to fully understand why people would hurt her so cruelly. She only knew how to offer love, even when the world didn't offer it back. Her innocence was a double-edged sword. It made her vulnerable to betrayal and cruelty, but it also made her incredibly strong. She didn't lose hope in love, even after everything she had endured. The purity in her heart never wavered, and it was that same purity that drew the attention of the foreign billionaire. When he stepped in and claimed her, it wasn't just an act of protection, it was a recognition of the value in her that no one else had seen. He saw beyond the poverty, the mockery, and the judgment. He saw the kind-hearted woman who deserved more than what life had given her. As the story unfolds, Mira begins to realize that the world isn't as kind as she once believed. Her early life had been shaped by a naive belief that love, kindness, and patience could overcome any challenge. She had always held on to the idea that if she stayed good, if she remained true to her heart, things would get better. But on her wedding day, as the cruelty of the crowd hit her and Ravi's betrayal unfolded, Mira's innocence was shattered. In the midst of the harsh reality surrounding her, she was forced to confront the painful truth. Life isn't fair. Love doesn't always triumph over everything. Sometimes the people we trust the most, the ones we think will protect us, can hurt us the most. And in those moments, Mira realizes that kindness and goodness alone may not be enough to shield her from the world's cruelty. But that doesn't mean her world crumbles. Instead, she experiences a quiet but profound awakening. She begins to understand that while she may have been naive, there is power in her own strength, her own voice. The reality of her circumstances doesn't have to define her. She doesn't need to rely on others' validation to know her worth. Through the pain, Mira starts to see that true strength lies in accepting that life is imperfect and that we must fight for our place in it, not wait for it to be handed to us. The moment the billionaire steps forward and claims her is not just a dramatic plot twist. It's a moment of awakening for Mira. She has always felt out of place, unworthy, of something better than what she had. But as this foreign man stands by her side, confidently declaring her worth, Mira begins to understand that the love and respect she had longed for were always within her reach. She just had to believe in her own value. This moral awakening transforms Mira. She no longer feels like the helpless victim of her circumstances. She begins to see the power within herself to change her future, to fight for her happiness, and to rise above the judgments and cruelty of others. She learns that kindness is not weakness, it's strength. But it's also important to recognize when to stand up for yourself, when to fight back, and when to demand the respect you deserve. Her awakening isn't immediate. It's a slow and painful process. But each step she takes toward realizing her own worth makes her stronger. With the foreign billionaire's support, she learns that there is more to life than enduring pain and waiting for things to get better. She discovers the importance of standing up for herself, trusting her instincts, and knowing that she deserves to live a life free from judgment and ridicule. In the end, Mira's moral awakening isn't just about love or revenge, it's about the wedding scene is where the emotions reach their peak, setting the stage for the most emotionally engaging and transformative moment in the entire story. Mira stands at the altar, a vision of innocence, hope, and love. She wears a modest dress that barely compares to the opulent gowns of the other bridesmaids, but it doesn't matter to her. In her heart, this moment is supposed to be magical, the culmination of years of waiting for love and acceptance. As the ceremony begins, Mira's eyes meet Ravi's. For a brief moment, it feels like the world slows down. She's never felt more loved, more desired, as the man she trusted with her heart stands beside her. She's ready for the life they planned together, far away from the harshness of her village, away from judgment and mockery. Her heart is full of hope, and she believes, without a doubt, that this moment will change everything for her. But as the ceremony continues, a shift in the atmosphere happens. The whispers behind her back grow louder. The crowd's gaze turns from admiration to judgment. Mira can feel the stares, the silent ridicule, the coldness. Her wedding, the most sacred day of her life, starts to crumble. The engagement ring she once held with pride feels heavier now, as though it's a symbol of all the things she's never had, the dreams she could never fully embrace. As Ravi's eyes meet hers, she sees the discomfort in them. He's looking at her, but not with love, not with the same warmth he had shown her before. His hands shake slightly, and in that moment, Mira knows something is wrong. The emotional weight of the situation begins to suffocate her. The room seems to close in around her, and she feels like she's suffocating under the gaze of the crowd, the pressure mounting with every passing second. Her once bright eyes dim, a sheen of tears welling up. But she refuses to cry. Mira stands. Tall, even though every part of her body is screaming for release. She's been trained by life to take the pain silently, to endure it with grace, but on this day, the pain is unbearable, and then comes the moment of betrayal, the pivotal turning point that shakes her to her core. Ravi steps back, his face filled with guilt and regret, and he speaks words that send shockwaves through Mira's soul. "I can't marry you. I don't think I'm ready for this." In that instant, everything she believed about love shatters. All the dreams she had held onto, the promise of a new life, a future filled with happiness and acceptance, disappear. It's as though the world has turned its back on her. She's abandoned, exposed, and humiliated in front of everyone. But the worst part is the realization that the man who promised to stand by her has now walked away, leaving her not just at the altar but in the darkest place she's ever been. Just as Mira begins to lose herself to the waves of shame and hurt, a stranger enters the scene. A foreign billionaire, someone completely unexpected, someone who has been quietly observing the situation, steps forward. His presence is commanding, and with a quiet authority he declares, "She's mine." For a moment, everything stops. Mira feels like the ground has shifted beneath her, and for the first time, someone is standing up for her, offering her the protection and love she never thought she would receive. But even though his words are meant to protect her, Mira is overwhelmed by confusion and disbelief. Why would someone like him, a stranger, choose to stand by her when the man she trusted most had walked away? The audience is thrown into a whirlwind of emotions. Mira's heart is caught between disbelief and a strange sense of relief. Her innocence, which had been so easily shattered, starts to heal in this unexpected moment. The stranger's declaration is not just a defense. It's a gift. It's a recognition of her worth, a validation that she is worthy of respect, of love, of protection, despite the world's harsh judgment. This moment is both heartbreaking and uplifting. It's heart-wrenching to see Mira crushed by the weight of betrayal, yet it's uplifting to see the first glimmer of someone stepping in to defend her, to show her that she's not just a pawn in other people's lives. This is her moment of recognition. She's not invisible, not worthless, not alone anymore. In a world that had mocked her, someone saw her for who she truly was, valuable and deserving of love. This emotional turning point shifts Mira's entire trajectory. She realizes that despite the pain, the betrayal, and the humiliation, there is still hope. This moment, though painful, is the beginning of her true awakening. An awakening where she starts to reclaim her life, her voice, and her worth as the story progresses. The protective and determined mood takes center stage when the foreign billionaire enters the scene. His sudden appearance and his bold declaration of "she's mine" completely transform the atmosphere. His actions are not just about stepping into the moment to protect Mira. He is there because he sees something in her that demands respect, something in her heart that deserves to be fought for. After Mira's heart-shattering moment at the altar, where her world is ripped apart by Ravi's betrayal, the billionaire's intervention is a breath of fresh air. He doesn't just offer her an out, he offers her a future. His gaze is unwavering as he steps toward Mira, protecting her from the judgment and cruelty that have plagued her life. His presence, although initially startling, exudes a quiet, unwavering strength that's both comforting and empowering. In that moment, he isn't just standing beside her for the sake of dramatic flair. He is offering Mira the protection she's always needed but never received. It's not just about the grand gesture of claiming her in front of the crowd. It's about the deeper promise in his eyes, the silent vow that she no longer has to endure pain or judgment alone. His protectiveness goes beyond physical safety. It's a defense of her dignity, her worth, and her right to be loved and respected. The billionaire's actions are calculated, deliberate, and full of purpose. His decision to step into Mira's life is not impulsive. It's driven by a sense of justice and an understanding that the world hasn't been fair to her. As he faces the audience, his voice rings out with authority, quiet but firm, refusing to let anyone belittle the woman he has chosen to stand by. His protection of Mira is not just a shield in that moment. It's a declaration that no one will harm her anymore. Mira, still stunned by the unexpected turn of events, can feel the change in the air. The familiar fear of abandonment begins to dissipate as the foreign billionaire's calm confidence wraps around her like a protective cloak. For the first time in her life, she doesn't have to fight for her place in the world. Someone else is willing to do it for her. This realization stirs something deep inside her, a mixture of gratitude and an awakening of her own strength. The mood shifts from the helpless vulnerability she felt just moments before to a quiet, determined resolve. With the billionaire's presence beside her, Mira knows she no longer has to rely on anyone who would tear her down. She is not the helpless, abandoned bride anymore. She is now someone who is seen, valued, and fought for. But Mira's determination isn't passive. It is sparked by the love and respect shown by this stranger. His belief in her, his willingness to protect her, and his insistence that she is worth fighting for ignite a fire within her. She realizes that she doesn't have to accept the world's cruelty or its opinions of her. Mira, once an innocent girl hoping to be loved, now stands taller. She is a woman with purpose, ready to take control of her future. As the billionaire continues to stand by her side, she begins to believe in herself the way he believes in her. He doesn't just protect her from the outside world, he empowers her to protect her own heart. Through his actions, he teaches her that standing up for yourself isn't a sign of weakness but of strength. This protective bond between them isn't just about physical defense. It's about teaching Mira to defend herself from the toxic forces around her, to draw boundaries, and to demand the love and respect she deserves. The determined mood pulses through the story as Mira, now more self-assured, begins to understand that the world will try to break her down again, but this time she will fight back. She's no longer the girl who hides her pain behind a smile. She is someone who has learned to stand tall in the face of adversity. And with the billionaire by her side, she feels invincible. This shift is not sudden, nor is it just the result of the billionaire's intervention. It's a gradual transformation. Mira learns that protection doesn't always come from external sources. It can be self-created. Her growth from a girl who relied on the kindness of others to a woman who demands her worth forms the backbone of this emotional arc. The billionaire's protection is the spark that lights her inner fire, and together they form a partnership built on respect, mutual strength, and the determination to forge a better life. The tension in the story reaches a boiling point during a moment of profound uncertainty, right after Mira's world is torn apart by Ravi's betrayal at the altar. The crowd's mockery is deafening, their laughter and whispers filling the room, reminding her that she's not only abandoned but publicly humiliated. She feels small and insignificant, completely out of control in a situation that should have been her happiest moment. The suspense builds with each second as she stands there, frozen, unsure of what will happen next. Just as Mira begins to lose hope, a stranger walks in. The foreign billionaire, someone who has no direct connection to the chaos unfolding. The audience's attention shifts, and the suspense heightens with each step he takes toward Mira. Why is he there? Who is he? And most importantly, what will he do? His presence alone is enough to stir confusion and anticipation. His face is unreadable, his intentions unknown. The room is thick with uncertainty. Is this a twist of fate? Or is it a dramatic moment that will either elevate Mira's suffering or offer her salvation? The crowd, stunned by the stranger's bold entrance, watches in silence. The billionaire's every movement is deliberate and calculated, as though he's aware of the power he wields in this moment. He doesn't speak right away. He simply locks eyes with Mira, and for the first time in what feels like forever, She feels seen. Her heart races. Is this the rescue she's been waiting for, or just another cruel twist of fate? Finally, the billionaire steps forward and declares, "She's mine!" The declaration hits like a thunderclap. The entire room freezes. The suspense is almost unbearable. Why would someone like him, an outsider, claim her? Why would he step into the mess of her life when no one else dared to? This moment is electric with uncertainty, but it is also the beginning of something far more profound than anyone could have imagined. Just as Mira is still processing the words, a wave of inspiration washes over her. This isn't just about a stranger taking charge. It's about someone seeing her worth when no one else would. This foreign billionaire has no obligation to her, yet he chooses to stand up for her in a world that has treated her so cruelly. His protection isn't just a gesture of convenience. It's a powerful, silent recognition that Mira is worthy of respect, love, and standing up for. This is the moment that awakens something in her. The inspirational aspect comes from the realization that even though the world has turned its back on her, Mira is not invisible. She is not defined by her past or her current situation. This stranger has chosen her, has declared her worth in front of everyone. And in that moment, she begins to understand that her value is not based on the opinions of others. It's a powerful turning point, one that builds suspense and then ignites a spark of hope. Mira's world, once filled with pain and humiliation, starts to shift. The uncertainty of the moment doesn't just feel like an overwhelming challenge. It feels like an invitation to change her life, to step into a future where she is valued and appreciated. The billionaire's presence, though unexpected, becomes a catalyst for Mira to realize her own strength. As the billionaire's claim on her stands unchallenged, Mira feels an overwhelming wave of gratitude, but also confusion. She has never been in control of her life or choices. She's always been at the mercy of others. But in this moment, she begins to see the possibility of standing tall, of choosing her own path, and this realization fuels a shift inside her. The suspense lingers in the air as the audience wonders what the billionaire's next move will be, but the inspiration for Mira is already in motion. She starts to believe in herself, not because of the billionaire, but because he sees something in her that she has never been able to see herself. This moment of suspense gives way to the clarity that Mira doesn't need to be a passive victim of her circumstances. She can take control of her story, just as the billionaire is taking control of this chaotic moment. After the emotional chaos of the wedding, the crowd's hushed murmurs and the biting stares begin to fade into the background. The foreign billionaire's declaration, "She's mine," echoes in Mira's ears. But it's no longer filled with confusion. Instead, the weight of the moment starts to shift. What seemed like a random, chaotic event now feels like a pivot to a new chapter, a chapter where Mira finally sees herself for who she truly is. The billionaire doesn't just claim her, he proves his words. As the day unfolds, he doesn't simply walk away from the drama. Instead, he becomes a pillar of support for Mira. He speaks with her, listens to her, and most importantly, treats her with the respect and kindness that she's longed for but never experienced. His presence is no longer just about protection, it's about partnership. Mira, still unsure of how to respond to the whirlwind of emotions she's been through, slowly begins to realize that this stranger, this powerful man who stepped into her life at her most vulnerable moment, is not just a knight in shining armor. He's a catalyst for her self-discovery. His actions, though initially overwhelming, are a revelation to her. She begins to see that her worth doesn't depend on others' opinions, nor does it rely on the validation of people who have never seen her value. Her self-worth slowly builds as she reflects on everything she's been through. She recalls the years of mockery in the village, the way she was treated as less than human, the pain of never feeling good enough, and then the stark contrast of this foreign billionaire's treatment of her, with respect, tenderness, and unwavering belief in her worth. The clarity of the situation is undeniable now. This isn't just about being saved, it's about being given the chance to live for herself, to take control of her own happiness and destiny. But the most transformative moment for Mira comes when she realizes that she doesn't need to rely on someone else's protection to feel secure or valued. While the billionaire's support has been a beacon of hope, she now knows that her strength has always been inside her. It was just waiting to be awakened. She has the ability to stand on her own, to speak her truth, and to build a life that reflects her own values, not the judgment of the world. This clarity doesn't come easily. It comes after a long journey of self-discovery, healing from past wounds, and realizing that the love she deserves begins with loving herself first. She knows that the road ahead won't always be smooth, but she's ready to walk it with her head held high. No longer the girl abandoned at the altar, she's now a woman ready to embrace the future with confidence and courage. The hope for the future is clear in Mira's eyes as she takes her first steps toward a new beginning. The billionaire, though, still by her side, takes a step back to let her take charge of her life, supporting her as she learns to make decisions for herself. This is not the end of her story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. And in that chapter, Mira will no longer be a passive participant. She will shape her future with the lessons learned from the past, her own strength, and the new clarity of purpose she's found. The final image is of Mira standing tall, walking confidently beside the billionaire, not as a damsel in distress, but as an empowered woman ready to face whatever comes next. The crowd that once mocked her is now gone, and she no longer cares about their opinions. Her worth is not defined by them. It's defined by her own actions, her own choices, and the love she now has for herself. As she walks toward her new life, the sun breaks through the clouds. The world, once filled with shadows of doubt and fear, now feels full of light. The hope for her future burns brighter than ever. This ending brings clarity to Mira's journey. She was never broken beyond repair, and her life wasn't defined by a single moment of pain. It's a story of healing, self-empowerment, and the realization that she deserves love and respect. The hope in the ending isn't just about her relationship with the billionaire, it's about her own belief in herself, her ability to shape her future, and the power